Pacers lose to the Rockets in the exact way you expect a team to lose to the Houston Rockets. What on earth happened on the glass? Why were the Pacers so hopeless for so much of this game despite a late push? But Kam Jones was in the rotation for the Pacers' 9th loss in a row. A lot to get to on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin-In. Today, loss number 9 in a row for the Pacers. They go to Houston. They have a fun, competitive little first quarter. They're hanging in there. They're up by 2, and then they lose dramatically. They're down as much as 28. The third unit cuts it to 7. Good for them. It was a blowout. This game, I've been saying a lot of the opposite recently, where the Pacers get blown out, but they were good for a lot of the game. But this game was the opposite, where it wasn't a blowout, but they were bad for a lot of the game. They got destroyed for the larger portion of this game, despite an okay start and a very, very late push. And they lost exactly how I'd expect them to lose to the Rockets. And Kam Jones is playing real minutes, all right. And the rebounding was a problem, and a lot of young guys did not pop very much, and that is 9 losses in a row, which is actually quite the figure, and I'll explain why at the end. I have to say something I wrote before the game started, and that is, if you read my story on Circle City Spin before the game, the final paragraph says, the Pacers look to recover with their new health in Houston on Monday night. I find the Rockets to be about as difficult as a stylistic matchup there could be for these Pacers. You can read the rest of the paragraph if you want. But I thought coming into this game, not that the Pacers are like good and need any sort of excuses or caveats, but that even if the Pacers played well, the way the Rockets play was going to be very, very hard for the Pacers to deal with. Right? This team is unique in an era where there's like no one plays like them. Teams are all unique in how they approach things, but the Rockets have the second best offense in the NBA, despite like a moderately high, second worst in the league turnover rate, and an effective field goal percentage just straight up on shots that's like average-ish, right? It's up to 8th now. It's a little better than average, right? That's not normally how teams score a bunch of points in the modern NBA. They score a bunch of points because they get every freaking offensive rebound on the planet. Their offensive rebound rate is 41.3%. For reference, the Pacers' offensive rebound rate is 28.9%. It's insane just how many rebounds the Rockets get. Their defensive rebound rate in the top 10 as well. They didn't even have Şengün in this game. But the way they play, the way they get extra possessions, the way they score is not how a lot of teams like to do that in the NBA. That makes their pace a little bit more, let's say, unique compared to other teams. It is third to last. They want to slow it down. They want to have long possessions. They want to score in their way. And for all the things J Huff has done at his best, be awesome on the glass and be able to fight off Steven Adams is not something he has ever shown. And they also crash with all sorts of big forwards. And lo and behold, how does this game start for the Pacers? Exactly how you'd expect. J Huff dunks first. Good for him. Kevin Durant misses. Steven Adams rebound. Steven Adams dunk. Pacers don't score. Kevin Durant misses. Steven Adams rebound. Steven Adams is fouled. During those free throws, it has been 80 seconds of this NBA basketball game. Rick Carlisle's like, this isn't going to work. Out comes J Huff. It's been 80 seconds, and he scored. And he came out of the game for Tony Bradley. Not that Tony Bradley had like some awesome game. Tony Bradley played 11 minutes, had 3 rebounds, it was +4. They immediately realized, oh boy, this is going to be a tough night on the glass. And that never stopped. Even Steven Adams finished this game with 5 rebounds. I already described 40% of them. This is a Rockets thing, but holy smokes is if you're the Pacers and you're playing a team like this who does something very well that you do very poorly, they're really good on the offensive glass, you have to make up for it in other ways by being either awesome on offense or really principled in something. The Pacers shot over 50% from 3 in this game. No one will ever remember that. Like, you have to be awesome at a lot of stuff to overcome this deficit of rebounding, and the Pacers just are not good enough at anything right now to actually do that, and this is a matchup nightmare. And the really thing that sealed to me that the Pacers are going to get absolutely blown out in this game was continuing through the first quarter of play with this issue they had. Tony Bradley came in. Makes perfect sense to me, right? He's got to be on the floor. They need to get some stops. 7 minutes, 57 seconds left in the first quarter. Tony Bradley fouls. Tony Bradley fouls him and Thompson. And then 6:41 to go, so a minute and 16 seconds later, Steven Adams gets a rebound and Tony Bradley fouls. He had 2 fouls in his first about 4 or 5 minutes of play. Jay Huff comes back in, and it's already okay. And Huff had a better stretch to close the first quarter, but he couldn't get a rebound early. Bradley was already in foul trouble. Micah Potter, for all the things he had 6 assists in this game, like for all the things he can do that are effective, be an awesome beast on the glass against the likes of Steven Adams is not one of them. They don't have Isaiah Jackson or have James Wiseman. They couldn't have had James Wiseman. This would have been a perfect game for what he could provide, and they just could not get a board at all. This is how the Rockets win. So the second chance points number was immediately misleading in this game because the Rockets in the first quarter alone took 11 free throws, and I believe I hand-tracked this. 8 of them came off of their own offensive rebounds. First quarter, the Rockets had 4 offensive rebounds and 11 free throw attempts. The Pacers had 2 free throw attempts and 6 total rebounds. They almost had as many offensive rebounds as the Pacers had total rebounds in the first quarter. That style, as I've now over-described for 6 minutes, led to the Rockets getting easy looks at the basket via Steven Adams, led them getting to second chance points, and then misleadingly few second chance points. The second Jay Huff did a little better. The Pacers ran a little run, but that didn't last very long. At halftime of this game, the rebounding numbers were Pacers 13, Rockets 27, more than double. The Rockets had taken 3 more shots and 10 more free throws. So they had about 13 more possessions at that time, despite a 3-4 turnover battle. In a game where there were not that many turnovers, a problem for the Rockets normally, the Pacers just got smoked in the possession battle. Now, it helped the Rockets in this game that they were making a lot of shots. Kevin Durant was very good. Steven Adams made stuff. Tari Eason made jumpers. Amen Thompson was making shots. Reed Shepard was making shots. And you give those guys credit. I'm not even saying that to it's like atypical. Those are good players. But that on top of this possession war, it was over. It was absolutely over for so much of this game. And so the Rockets, without even having a ton of rim pressure from drives, win the points in the paint battle, all because of rebounding. They get down low, they get the board, they can go right back up with it, right? Points off turnovers, Pacers dominated that category. Bench points, Pacers were ahead. Fast break points, Pacers were way ahead. Like a lot of stuff that the Pacers would hope their stock could produce was great. Second chance points, Pacers 9, Rockets 25. It was not even close. And so this is all a very long and elaborate way of saying this was a style fight, and the style of the Rockets and the identity that they have is already better than the Pacers' identity this season, and they're a better team, and they just strangled them the whole game. 16 to 23 rebounds in the second half. The Pacers hit the offensive glass a little harder, but not hard enough. And so, again, in the second half, the Rockets fewer shot attempts than the Pacers in that half, but turnovers were the reason for that. They had 8 more turnovers in the second half of this game than the Pacers. And so the final tally on the glass, Pacers 29, Rockets 50. They actually took a rebound away from the Pacers after the game in the box score. They had 30 in the final box that was distributed right after the game. Just an absolute mess. So the Rockets also shot 59% and got to the line a bunch and did a lot of good stuff. Kevin Durant had 30 points. But the reason the Pacers lost is they couldn't get a rebound at all. At all. What are they supposed to do about that? Rebound better. Having Isaiah Jackson or James Wiseman would have helped, and score more on the other end. Be more potent on offense. They made half their shots. That's so rich to say, but that's what you got to do. You got to make it harder for the other team to get open, easy shots in transition. You got to make the most of your fewer possessions because the Rockets are going to end up with more. Even with the Rockets having 7 more turnovers, this was a relatively even possession game. The Pacers made 53% of their threes and lost by 7. It was a style game. The Pacers didn't have it. And yet, some better things in this game, believe it or not. Jarris Walker, hello. That was exciting and interesting, especially in the first half. Kam Jones is playing real minutes, not phony garbage time minutes. That's cool. That's exciting. Some players did not play particularly well. Some style stuff was interesting. That's 9 losses in a row for the Pacers. Where does that stand historically? What do you need to know about that? Can they actually break this before they get the longest in franchise history? That's all coming here on Locked On Pacers. Before we talk about any of that, we got to talk about game time during basketball season. There's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everybody on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets, Fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Gametime app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few steps. You can see the view from your seat right on the app before you buy. The prices, including the fees up front, so there's no surprises at the end. The zone deals help you unlock great seats. And whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today to get in on the action. We are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making this your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen, Locked On Rockets. Jackson Gatlin will have the Rockets side of things. I love watching this Rockets team. I don't know if I'd consider them the biggest threat to win the title, but I think they are a bigger threat against OKC than people are giving them credit for. Their exact style you saw in this game is why. It's fun, it's interesting, it's unique. Teams really struggle with it when they struggle with it. I love watching the Rockets. Jackson Gatlin will have more on their current outlook and situation and how they played to beat the Pacers. Without, by the way, I should add, for a game where their rebounding was very good. Without Alperen Şengün. Didn't even play in this game. Okay, some good stuff, some fun stuff, smiley stuff. They lost by 7. That's closer. We can pretend that was actually how close the game was and say some exciting stuff. Kam Jones, there it was. Rotation minutes. I've been saying for a few days, about a week now, that even as the Pacers get healthier, they should be playing their best guys, but they should be finding Kam Jones rotation minutes if they can that are real and actually matter for evaluating Kam Jones as a player. Him playing just in garbage time or with the boom is not particularly helpful for doing so. There it was today. Pacers shake it up again. So Aaron Nesmith was back again. TJ McConnell played. No Ben Shepherd, even though he was listed questionable. So they had Furphy, Siakam, Huff, Mathurin, Nembhard, Bradley, Walker, Nesmith, and McConnell all available. If they play Quentin Jackson, that's 10 guys. So the temptation had to be there. Quentin Jackson's good. He's played well for the Pacers before. He has not played well of late. That should be noted. I've been saying he should start recently at times. He didn't even play in this game until the last 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Look, there's very good sense at least. And if you're not going to start Quentin Jackson, play Kam Jones over him, right? Right now, at least. I think Quentin Jackson's a better player right this second, but that makes good sense for the Pacers season where it was. Kam Jones plays 17 minutes and 30 seconds if you count that he was playing garbage time. He still was probably third-ish on the Pacers team in bench minutes in this game. So that's just a good sign that the Pacers are doing this, right? This, to me, is the right decision for them to be doing. As I've been saying, Ethan Thompson also out of the rotation for this game, right? Kam Jones should be playing instead of Ethan Thompson, should be playing, I guess, instead of Quentin Jackson. Again, Quentin Jackson's better, but it makes sense for the Pacers right now to go with Jones instead. And at first, he didn't really do a lot. And I don't mean that to be critical. I don't say that he was bad. In the first half of this game, Kam Jones played, well, that's weird. Okay, sorry, the box score just exploded. 6 minutes and 50 seconds, and it was all zeros. 1 billion was on the table for him. He was -3, whatever. He didn't do anything. And on one hand, you could say, okay, he literally logged no stats. He didn't do anything. Was that bad? No, he didn't do anything wrong. It's not like I never felt like he was in the wrong place or handling too much or handling too little or defending quite poorly. He was just kind of on the floor. Okay, that's fine. Blending in is good. The second half, they go back to him, and it was much better in terms of you felt some of the plays he made, and some of that's that he played in garbage time and got real chances to do so. But in the second half, he plays 10 minutes and 40 seconds, makes 2 shots out of 4 attempts, took a 3, did real stuff with the rotation, 2 steals, an assist, and a rebound, plus 14, obviously playing in garbage time helped there. So Kam Jones getting real time and looking like he doesn't stink was good. Plus 11, 4 points, and 2 steals in this game with 2 made shots. Until he shows he can't hang yet, or if he never does, I would keep going to this as the Pacers. Let him play, let him develop, let him show what his best skills are. Is there something here? Is there not something here just yet? Where is Kam Jones at? Because he had a back injury that made him miss the most important time of his personal season as a rookie early in training camp. I'm glad that he's playing. That's the right thing for the Pacers to do, and they did it in this game, and they did it quite a bit, and he was just kind of fine, right? He was just fine. I think there will be games after seeing ones like this where he will miss so many jumpers that it feels like he has a bad game when he just misses jumpers. He's got a kind of clunky jumper. Wow, man, I can't talk today. But he still gets to where he wants to go. He can flick it in the lane. That's all good stuff. He took a lefty hook and he's like a 6'4" guard. I'm interested to seeing how he develops. And this was the first step towards doing so. Jarris Walker in Houston, where he played his college basketball. Every first half, Jarris Walker's played in Texas this year. Who remembers the first half of Pacers Mavs when he was awesome. That was probably his best play ever. First half of this game, Jarace Walker, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, did not miss a shot. He looked quite good for a lot of this game in terms of the force and power he played with on defense. His very first defensive play in the game, he's on Kevin Durant, and wow, one of the best reps he's had defensively this season. He was up on him. His hands were in the right place. He was moving back. He was moving forward. How do they get that kind of fire out of him all the time? They got to figure that out, because that was something else. That was really impressive stuff from Walker, who finishes in front of who knows who I was there, but I presume some friends and family. 12 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, only -3 in almost 24 minutes. Jarace Walker played a very good game again, back where he is from, and it was good. They needed to see a good game from him. He's had a lot of games, to put it kindly, of late, but Jarace Walker stepping up in this one with a noticeably good performance in a way that I thought, okay, that's good. That's good for the Pacers. Good for Kevin Durant to be this good. I really enjoyed the Kevin Durant versus Pascal Siakam battle. Speaking of good things, Siakam coming alive was a good thing for the Pacers in this game, because he started very slow. After an awesome game in Houston, he did not play well to start this game. First half, he had 12 points on 11 shots, and that even was worse in the first quarter. He had 3 points on 5 shots. He started very slowly with his makes, 1 assist and 3 points in the first quarter on 1 for 5 shooting. Second quarter is a little bit better, where he goes 4 for 6, and he just kept ramping up his effectiveness as the game went on, and only had a limited fourth quarter stretch. But him and Durant have, they played each other in the finals. There's obvious mutual respect. They have similar, bend to defense level of make shots from anywhere kind of skills. And Siakam, who just was awesome, and then the Pacers got smoked in a game he was awesome. It wouldn't have shocked me if he had a hung head, or if he didn't, have his best game, especially against a huge Rockets team, a humongous Rockets team. I mean, you are always being guarded by somebody big. How many times have I said in a big Pascal Siakam game that the other team had nobody to guard him because of their size or their level of expertise at defending fours who are crafty? The Rockets, between Durant and Jabari Smith and Tyrese and Amen Thompson and Dorian Finney-Smith, who's just returning from injury, and Josh Okogie and Jayshawn Tate, have a million guys who are theoretically interesting as a power forward defender and can slow Siakam. And early in the game, I thought, oh boy, if Siakam's not going to score anything, this is not going to go well. And he airballed a free throw in the game. He went 6 for 10 from the foul line. That's not good, but that's close to his season average. It felt way worse than that. He airballed a free throw in this game, especially early. It felt, oh boy, this is not going to be a good Pascal Siakam. And then it was. That says a lot about his level this year, that even games that don't feel as good for him end up being 23-4-4 against one of the better defensive teams in the entire NBA. Credit to Pascal Siakam. Last good thing, I think. Oh, no, 2 more good things before we talk about 9 losses in a row and some not so good things. First of all, I said this was a style loss for the Pacers. The Rockets' style is too imposing. It's too challenging for the Pacers to beat. That's not to excuse the way the Pacers played. I think that, if anything, it's bad how problematic that style was to me. The Pacers couldn't handle it quite really at all. The other problem for the Pacers in this game was this would have been a lot uglier had threes not gone in. At one point in this game, the Pacers were down almost 20, and they were 13 for 25 on threes and 15 for 41 on twos. They finished the game 18 for 34 from 3. That's awesome. 53% from 3 the Pacers were in this game. And they were 50% from the field, meaning they were less than 50% from the field. 26 for 54 was the Pacers' final tally from 2. That's 48%. You got to be better than that if you're going to have any chance of winning. The Rockets shot 59% on all shots in this game, and they were 10 for 27 from 3, meaning they were 39 for 56 on twos. That is a huge gap. So the Pacers are lucky that they made 3, so they would have got absolutely blasted in this game. Last thing, Aaron Nesmith back again, looking more and more back very quickly. 23 minutes and 40 seconds, so almost half the game. Made 4 of his 6 threes, a powerful dunk, 3 assists here, a good defensive rep there with the block. He already looks ready for more. I don't know what his minutes ramp-up is going to look like exactly. He returned on the road, and I haven't had a chance to ask any questions, but I am looking forward to seeing if he starts soon. Right? Before Nesmith returned, I would have started Quentin Jackson over Furphy as the Pacers. When they went to Furphy, I'm like, oh, well, he plays more of a Nesmithy role. As soon as Nesmith's ready, just switch those 2 guys. Bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to go. I wonder if that's exactly what the Pacers will do. Let's talk about some not as good stuff from the notebook. 9 losses in a row, some players who struggled, and why. some Rockets players who did well, and why, and all that coming up to close out today's Locked On Pacers. Before we do that, let me talk to you guys about FanDuel Fridays. Already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, it becomes appointment viewing in the NBA Happy Hour because the FanDuel app during Happy Hour brings something new, boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off. Make sure you can get a move in before the window closes. The timing is perfect right before the games. It adds extra energy to your Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app. See what's popping during the NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day, or second listen. Some fun games in the NBA last night. Kawhi went for 55 2 nights ago. Locked On Clippers could be your second listen. Locked On Cavs should be your second listen as they beat the Spurs. They needed a good win in the worst way, and they got it against San Antonio, who has lost 2 in a row now after their meteoric rise to hey, maybe they can actually win the West this year. Spoiler, I don't think they can yet, but that is just my own opinion. Okay. Let's finish up Pacers Rockets here. That's 9 in a row in the loss column for the Pacers, which is one noteworthy because it's their longest of the season. They lost 8 in a row earlier from November 3rd to November 17th. Then they beat the Charlotte Hornets before losing 4 more in a row. This is now 9 in a row for the Pacers, who now have Orlando, San Antonio, Orlando, and Cleveland as their next 4 games. If they lose all 4 of those, that'd be the record. Currently, their record is 12 losses in a row. That happened once when I was covering the team in 2022-23 because they lost 11 in a row to close the 2022 season and then lost their first game of the next season. Their longest in one season is also 12 games. That happened back in 1989 in late January into early February, and also in March to April of 1985. However, most people know this. I'm 30, right? Born in the mid 90s. And the Pacers in my lifetime have had two entering this Monday, 2 9+ game losing streaks. March 2027. What am I saying? I am all over the place today. March 2007, when they lost 11 in a row. And of course, the stretch I said at the end of 2022 into 2022-23, when they drafted Mathurin, right? That's it. Every other losing streak they've had has been less than 9 games. So this is a shockingly new uncharted territory level of stretch. I talked about uncharted territory yesterday with where their record is. No one has ever made the playoffs with a start as bad as the Pacers. Now they're in their 10th worst at best stretch of losses in franchise history. If they lose again to Orlando on New Year's Eve, I might do hey, here's the cumulative score of those and where it ranks in Pacers history and where it ranks in NBA history, because that was a big thing on their first losing streak when they went on the road and just got absolutely blasted by everybody. That's not a very fun fact, but it is a fact. The Pacers keep losing at historic levels. There's a reason they have the last record in the league right now. Let's run through some other things that happened in Pacers offense. My gosh, Pacers offense. Pacers Rockets. I'm reading my notes. It says the word offense. The Pacers offense fell apart when this game shifted. It was actually 30-30 pretty early in the second quarter. I felt the Pacers are doing some good stuff. Perhaps they could stick with this and get something done. Ben Mathurin had just made a 3, and immediately the Rockets surged. McConnell, Siakam, and Mathurin were all on the floor when this run got going, by the way. They're better players. The Rockets got it to 8 very quickly. The Rockets got it over 10 very quickly. They were up 17 just before the 6-minute mark of the second quarter. That was a lot of issues on both ends. And I think what's happening to the Pacers a lot right now is, one, they've had kind of different problems every game, and this game was the rebounding. And that kind of makes what I'm about to say possible. But 2 is, I would say that in their most pathetic losses of late, and that this game could be included if you wanted to, defense has been more problematic than it has been for most of the season. And if I want to take that a step further, it's the feedback loop stuff. That's a term people have used to describe this. Some Pacers players were talking about it this week. They lost to Boston. They had that 47-22 quarter. That was the most they'd given up in a quarter all season. They only scored 22. They lose the game by 18, 17, whatever it was. So, if they did better in that quarter, they could have won the game. Right? All this stuff that eats you up if you're the Pacers. And it was all that quarter. And they, after the game, I'm talking to players. I'm asking Carlisle, hey, like what happened in that quarter, one? And two, what, the box score says it was a defense thing. You gave up 47 points in the quarter. And Rick Carlisle and Andrew Nembhard were like, hold on. Like, yeah, we didn't defend well, to be clear. But a lot of that was because we were putting ourselves in bad positions to defend with bad offense. Our offensive process wasn't good. We were getting bad shots. We're playing in transitional out on the back heel. Those feedback loops have become really challenging for the Pacers. Well, against the Rockets in that second quarter, that's exactly what happened, right? Their offense faded just a little, and the Rockets, who are going to get every rebound and are better in the open floor than in the half court and are good at a lot of things, just ran away. Here they go. So in the midst of this kind of game, there's a lot of that was nice or like cool job kind of stuff going on where like Johnny Furphy had a bunch of good defensive reps and like, oh, cool. Mathurin hit this shot there, or Jarris Walker's doing stuff there. Aaron Nesmith can't miss. The Rockets just kept expanding their lead, and this feedback loop continued and continued and continued. I'm going to probably have to explain that phrase a few more times. I do like the term feedback loop to describe what I'm saying, but basically the connection between your offense and defense. And as soon as that broke apart, because the Pacers were okay enough on both ends in the first quarter, that fell apart. The game fell apart. Okay, something that's bothering me is happening. I should have included this in the rebounding section. So in the first half, at one point, Tari Eason takes a corner three and gets blocked. And it's fading towards the paint. And there's players in the paint for both teams. And it bounces. And then the Rockets get it. Easton specifically got it and scored. Remember the game at home they played against the Celtics when J Huff blocked a three and the ball bounced in the paint? And I'm like, dude, I mean, I'm not going to claim to be good at basketball. I played in, early high school or whatever. But our coach would scream at us and make us yell if the ball bounced on the ground. Like in a game, he would always run back to play and be like, guys, the ball bounced. You didn't steal it or take it, or like it literally rolled. The ball is bouncing on that rebound. 2 possessions later, Jarris Walker watches the ball bounce pretty close to him. His man gets it. It happens on a loose ball where the ball just bounces on the ground. And all these Pacers players are close enough to it, but not making the right effort. Effort just has to be there. It just does. The ball can't bounce on the ground that often. J Huff, as I mentioned earlier, so he got taken out of the game, has just not been good enough recently. He made some shots in this game. He made half his threes. He had 8 points on 8 shots, whatever. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. They need more from J Huff. He was minus 29 in this game. Nobody else was worse than minus 15. He was not helpful against Adams. He was not mobile enough on defense against a team that loves to park guys on the perimeter. They figured something out when J Huff was making threes and stuck around the rim a lot. They haven't been able to keep him around the rim as much right now, and his 3 ball it was in this game, but has not generally been falling as much of late in a way that has been productive. He has not played very well. This whole center rotation is not playing well. The points in the paint battle, I already mentioned it being kind of screwy because of same with second chance points because of the way the Rockets get their stuff. But 56 for the Rockets on a night where they were, making jumpers and pouring in threes. They made 10 threes. The Pacers in this game just had awful points in the paint night, both ends of the floor. They needed to get going into the paint earlier in the game. Something I thought was funny in this game, and I think will be interesting for a potential, if this happens, Rockets-Thunder series. There's a good way to end a possession and make sure the Rockets don't get an offensive rebound. And that's get a steal. Get a steal and run, and then the Rockets can't do that. And that was the best stretch of the Pacers game, was when they cut it from 29 to, I want to say, 15, and they finished the game with 37 points off turnovers. They were running like crazy. To the Pacers' credit, I thought that was a good move. If they do that again, that'd be great. And that stretch, they went from down 28 to down 15, and then it went right back to 24 just like that. And that's the Pacers for you. And that is the notes from this game. Oh, Johnny Furphy had a really good defensive rep on Amen Thompson. I should have included that in the good stuff. Somehow it was hiding in my Google sheet right here. That's Pacers Rockets. Another icon one for the Pacers. And yet, only one more game this calendar year. They host the Magic on Wednesday for a little matinee action. I'll be there. So we'll have a podcast after that. In between, though, our yearly best of the year podcast, Derek Kramer is going to take over for Zach Pearson this year. Easily the most fun one of those I'm going to do. 2025 was an awesome year, despite their terrible record right now for the Pacers. So everybody look forward to that. Thank you all so much for listening today. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East and this podcast at Locked On Pacers. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. We will see you very soon.